It's Jason Abraham, the shadow teacher, and a good bit of my young life, I found the experience in my body and in my mind very painful. I was not the most natural athlete. I was not the most graceful mover, and there were many things that I could conceive of that my body simply could not execute at the time. And it frustrated me when I looked at other kids who could just move with so much more ease and grace than I could. And then in the mental sphere, I had a great, powerful imagination. My mind was always active, but I had a hard time taking what was in my imagination and getting it to translate to my physical reality. So at some point, I got into transcendental practices, the practices that altered my state and disassociated my consciousness from my body. And when I got into these practices, they opened up an expansive perspective for me. But once again, because I felt so much pain and limitation in my 3D physical world, I just kept wanting to go back and escape. And almost this addictive pattern started to show up of escapism for me. And what I've come to know, that true transcendence, the transcendence in the true light, is an embodied process. It is looking at the body, the mind, and the spirit as all one thing, as all one experience of a greater consciousness. And when you work on one, the others are affected. And in a practice called Yoga Nidra, the sleep of the yogis, there's some practices that there's an affirmation that you are more than your body, you are more than your thoughts, and this is true. It's like you are the sum of your mind, your body, and your consciousness, and then that much more. So when you work in the true light, you're working on all of it. Even if you have a practice that focuses more on the body, your mind and your subtle body, your spirit body, are affected by it. If you work on the spirit body, your mind and your physical body are affected by it. And if you work on your mind or will, your physical body and your spirit body is affected. And this goes to anything you absorb. When you take on something that is someone else's thoughts or someone else's practice, they become yours when you repeat them enough. Whether you repeat them physically enough, whether you are allowing thoughts in your consciousness over and over again, or whether you're energetically in the presence of something. So that's why being conscious and being aware of what you allow in your presence and what you do comes to greater value, and understanding your true values as with this greater understanding of how you are the sum of everything. When you allow thought forms and physical practices that are out of alignment with your true path, then you reap the consequences. You face the karma of that, even when it's ignorance, even when you're unaware. So crucial, again, this is all a path. Again, in this life, we learn through making mistakes. We learn through falling down and picking ourselves up again and reorienting to our path. And this has been my experience on my path of awakening, ascension. Initially, I looked at ascension as something as a disembodied process of leaving our bodies and floating up to the heavens. And again, this is the false light. This is the Luciferian approach, where again some of the practices from the Luciferian consciousness are effective, but their true light approach is doing them in an embodied way, bringing the light of the heavens, of the ether, and strengthening that, strengthening the physical body, and bringing it all into our experience here in the life that we are living. We're meant to be in our bodies. We are meant to experience the world we were born into. And when we do this, we ascend in an embodied process. We physically change, we energetically change, our thinking changes, and this is the true light. It's all. It's not this disembodied escapism that I have once practiced and experienced. And I still do the practices, but when you change the Luciferian intent of escapism and you make it an embodied practice where you are not seeking to escape your discomfort, but simply gaining a broader perspective and then bringing it back in and going into your discomfort, going into your pleasure, just being embodied in all of it, then you're working in the light. So those of you who are working in the light, continue your good work, because the world needs you. The world needs you to share your voice, to share your truth, to show up with all of the power and potency that your spirit came here to express. And it needs you now more than ever, because the dark forces are doing what they've always done. They're wanting to cover the veil over your eyes, and they have redoubled their efforts in a way that I've never experienced before. So that means when we feel that, that's just a message saying, I need to show up, and I need to question, I need to practice, and I need to walk in the way of the truth as it's revealed to me. And with that being said, I'll see you on the other side. Class dismissed.